Hey everyone, it's Christoph. Before I begin today's game, I would just like to acknowledge the 9/11 attacks that happened 15 years ago today. This event was probably one of the worst events in U.S. history, and it is to be remembered respectfully. I'd also like to say rest in peace to all those victims of the attacks, and to those who passed away, and also to those who had a loved one leave as well. Thank you. Okay, so looks like I've just been paired up playing a 15-2 game. So let's begin. E4, E5. Alright, let's go in for yeah, I'll go in for this Fry Lopez thing. I feel comfortable about this. My mouse is acting a little strange. D6, huh? Okay. So I have a few moves. I have knight C3, D4, bishop C4. These are all good moves. Actually, on average, I would typically go for D4, but I think I'm going to opt for bishop C4. I've seen this before, and I know in some lines you can actually sack the bishop on F7. So let's do this. I like this idea. Maybe somewhere along the line we can get some interesting play. Oh, that's a slow move, H6. Yeah, I don't totally agree with this move. Typically, I'd see knight F6 actually. And if he takes the pawn, alright. Well, for now, it's what should we do? Should we consider castling, or do we play D4 or knight C3? I think it might be wise just to castle here. Knight C3 works. I think I'll just develop my king and keep him out of the center. Let's see what black has. See what he's got on us. Oh yeah, this is my first rated standard game, by the way. First rated standard game. Alright. Alright, now I'm a little more open to playing knight to C3. There is a kind of annoying move with knight to A5. Attacking my bishop. Which in any case I might just drop back and exchange. Knight A5, bishop B3 take with the A pawn. If knight A5, bishop D5 doesn't work because of C6. And he's just gaining a tempo, isn't he? Alright, let's do this, shall we? I like this move. My mouse is acting particularly strange today. Ooh, bishop D7, huh? Yeah, I was expecting knight to F6 or maybe bishop to E7, but okay, now let's get developed. And I have a feeling you might take this, so I'm just going to pre-move that. Where are we? I think we're already better. If you think about it, I have more coordination already. I have my bishop eyeing the F7 square. I have my queen on a strong central square. My knight is eyeing the D5 square, so is my e-pawn. And I've yet to develop this bishop. Alright, well, this pawn is hit once, it's defended twice. He can play C5 somewhere along the way. This pawn is defended by the bishop. You know, I kind of want to play E5 here. Believe it or not, E5. I'm hoping for takes and take with the queen. That's what I'm hoping for. E5, take. I'm on the king. Is there any way to refute this move? That's the question. D5 doesn't work. I simply take. Yeah, I'm gonna try this. If he takes, I'm taking with the queen. This is already winning. If you think about it. This bishop, I can also bring the rook to e1. Don't forget about him. Yeah, I'm already enjoying my position. So what's the question? What does he do? If he takes, he's running into checks, which I think he kind of has to do. Yeah. My internet's slow. This is not good. So I think he can play queen e7 or bishop to e7. I'm expecting bishop to e7. Yeah. Alright, well, we can play rook e1. The queen can't move because we take with mate. And the other thing is, if rook e1 castles, we can just take the bishop. And I think this is strong for me. My mouse is acting very strange. The other move I was considering is actually knight to d5. Knight d5, if he takes, I take, and I'm on the g-pawn. Castles, I can maybe bring my queen to g3 and think about bishop takes h6. Yeah, somewhere along the way. Okay. I don't think this sacrifice is working. I honestly don't. I think this is losing, actually. At some point, this bishop may become helpful, but the other move I thought was bishop to e3, and in fact, I might actually just go over this. This is probably the safest route. Bishop to e3, castles, and rook a d1. Rook e1 also works. I think I'm just going to go bishop to e3, though. I want to get, before I start an attack, I really want to get completely developed. I just want to keep my pieces coordinated. Let's see where he goes. Ooh. Knight g4, huh? Oh, that's not a good move. Can I just take here? If he takes here, he can't take my bishop. I'm threatening mate. Where's the rook going? Wait a second. Queen takes g7, rook f8. And then I have bishop takes here, maybe. Queen takes g7, rook to f8. And, aren't I just winning? Is there something better? I feel like I'm missing something here. Queen takes g7, rook to f8. Bishop f4? Huh. Yeah, this is the, my intuition is really telling me to, because aren't I on both pieces? I mean, this is defended, don't get me wrong, but rook f8. And I'm pretty sure this is the only move, isn't it? The other thing I can also consider is, I thought for a second if rook f8 I could kick the knight, and if he moves I can take here. Threatening, putting pressure on the rook even though it's defended. However, the only thing is if for example, rook f8, h3, he can just take here. Oh, he blundered mate. That's, well, that was a quick one. Yeah, let's analyze that game. Alright, I'm going to stop here and I'll get the analysis ready. Okay, so this one was kind of a quick one, wasn't it? So first move was e4, e5. So typically there are lines like this, like the Rye Lopez. This is honestly what I was expecting. Maybe a Berlin, or if not, maybe something along the lines of this. Castle d6. This is also a popular line. But no, we see this. This is called a Philidor, by the way, and it also says it right here. Philidor Defense. So as I was saying during the game, typically I kind of, well, I usually go for like d4, and I'd kind of go for something like this, and I don't know, knight f6 maybe. These are the type of positions I feel like I thrive in. You know, stuff like this, where the knights are kind of symmetrical on this side of the board, and I don't know, bishop e2. Not to take, this would help white develop, but bishop e7 maybe. I was expecting this type of position, but instead I decided to play bishop c4, because the past few months I've been looking at these lines where sometimes if the knight comes here, it's actually in some cases appropriate to sack the bishop. Yeah, I don't know, something like this. This defends. Do something. No, I don't know. What's the line? If you castle and he takes, there's something here where. Oh, I'm trying to remember the line. I think it's like, I don't know if this is the correct line, but he takes. And first and foremost, he's off castling rights, but d4 even. And the whole purpose is that if black messes up, he has an exposed king. Knight g5 someday will be a possibility, followed by queen to f3. Something along the lines of this. In the description of this video, you'll see the correct line I'm talking about. I haven't analyzed this in months, and I can't really think of it. So I do like this. This is a really flexible move, bishop c4. We see h6, which is, I understand this is supposed to stop knight g5 and converging on f7, but this is honestly very slow. So we just castled. If your opponent decides to ever make a slow move like this, just take time out of your day to not make slow moves. Develop your king, develop your knights, develop the center pawns, stuff like this. Knight to c6, this is actually a good move. Knight c3, bishop d7. I was kind of hesitant of. I was expecting like this. This is a lot more open. The thing is, with this bishop d7 move, like, you have to keep in mind, well, now the queen is kind of disconnected from this pawn here, and the only defender now is the bishop, and this can cause problems. d4, yeah, he has to take him. I'm threatening this. Takes. He took everything. I think better move here was knight f6 still. Maybe like rook e1, something like this. This is strong for both sides. Take. He took everything, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. The bishop can't really ever develop, for example, because I'm on this pawn, and no, this is just winning. This isn't just winning a rook. This is why I believe it's important to keep the connection between the queen on d8 and pawn on d6 strong, because then the bishop doesn't have to worry about defending this, and everything's quite connected, isn't it? Knight f6, pawn e5. I don't know if the computer likes this move. It likes rook to e1. No, it likes e5. It took a minute. Okay, e5 is also a strong move. trying to make this go away. E5 is strong. Rook E1. I don't remember if I mentioned it during the game, but this is a fine move here. Because I'm threatening E5 anyways. Bishop E7, you can take this and take with a rook. Maybe not. C6. This is actually not the end of the world for black. This rook is kind of in the center, and as you know, unless it's an endgame, rooks don't typically belong in the center here. But yeah. Anyways, he took the pawn. I took with check. I'm trying to think of what to do in the event of Queen E7. I might have just played Rook E1. Honestly, if he takes, I'll gladly take. He can't do this. He would have taken. He would have gone Bishop B7. You know, this position is actually fine for me. I have even though this rook is out in the open, and this is also unprotected, by the way. It is pinning the bishop. I can think about Bishop F4, as the computer suggested. This is actually a great move. Because when the rook moves, I'm eyeing C6. And maybe also I can bring my rook here and knight here eventually. And I have really strong central control. However, he played Bishop B7, which is, I think, better for him. So he played a good move here. I just developed Bishop B3. I don't think the computer likes that move so much. No, it likes Rook E1 still. But I played Bishop to E3, and I kind of I wanted to develop my pieces before I make any sort of coordinated attack. This also connects my rooks. I can now think about Rook to A-D1. I'm looking down the D file, pinning both bishops. If I bring my rook here, and then he plays this surprising move, Knight G4. And well, this drops the pawn, so I obviously took. My bishop is defended. I don't have to worry about any of this. But instead, he took it and he blundered mate. But I'm trying to think. The correct move here is definitely Rook F8. And I'm trying to... Was something better, though? Oh, just Rook F8. Rook F8's the move. So I'm trying to think here. I probably would have played Rook AG1. And, okay, here, it's not... This is not the end of the world for black, but what I want to do is I'm kind of encouraging black to take this, because if he takes now, I now have 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking the pawn. He has bishop. Yeah, the computer is now suggesting Bishop F5. This move, it just drops. It's suggesting to give up the queen. And then this sort of stuff. I can't even do that. This is lost for black. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to look for some sort of defense here. Where does black survive exactly? Bishop F6. Here I can take here, can I? Because if he takes, I go Queen G8, King here. Bishop. This is a mate in 3. Bishop C5. Here. And where's he going? There's a couple ways to mate him. I can mate him this way. This is most convenient. Checkmate. So I think it's safe to say that black is dead loss after queen takes G7, and then he just blundered mate. I guess he didn't see this. This is checkmate. Alright, so let's start off from the top. Where can we improve, and where can black improve? Let's take a look. I think here, I mean, he played the first few moves of the game. He played well. This is theory. Bishop c4 and h6. This isn't really a theory move. Knight f6 is the way to go. Knight c3, bishop e7, and castle. This is the theory line here. d4, knight c6. So the purpose of this, just for black, I don't know if the black player is even watching this, but my advice to black here is to keep developed. Get your knight to f6 quick, because then you can maintain pressure on the e4 pawn, maintain pressure on the central knight. Don't take right away, you're helping white develop. And keep lines open with this bishop. Someday he could come here even, just one day. And get your rook. I think the biggest takeaway from this is that you need to keep your pieces protected. And this is something even I need to work on. As you can see, d6, bishop c4, h6, castles, knight c6. So far, this is a good position for black, even though this h6 move is real slow. Bishop d7. The other thing is that you need to keep the connection between the queen and the d pawn strong. Although this isn't necessarily a bad move, there's really no reason to play this. I struck in the center. I took everything. And knight f6. So far, I mean, this is actually not totally bad for black. I took bishop to e7. And I developed, and I think, yeah, this is the thing here. When you make a move, kind of like this daring, like knight g4, you need to make sure all your pieces are protected. This is not protected, the square here. I can just take, and this is what happened. I'm threatening the rook and mate. And there's pressure on the knight. And you cannot take this. King safety is #1 priority. If you lose the king, you lose the game. And he took, which just blundered mate. So I think really the only major blunder black made is this move here. This move here, right here. Better move. Let me see. Here he could have played castles. This is a fine move, actually. This game, this is kind of equal. I mean, white is positionally better. He has more pieces in the center. These bishops aren't really doing much of anything. Therefore, I'm better. Maybe another point of improvement is that when you develop, it's okay to not have all your pieces on the second rank here. Or from my point of view, the 7th rank. But yeah, so this is the game, and he just blundered me. And this is just a senseless blunder. I think he saw this, and he saw it after he got mated. But I believe if he just looked a little closer, he could have seen this pawn hanging. All right, well that's all for now. As always, I hope you learned something, and thanks. Bye.